wipe. Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful wipe. All right, hey, welcome to the live stream today. I was going to try to live stream yesterday. Oh, man, yesterday was such an annoying day because my mom. I'm going to just talk about all my personal stuff. Why not? My mom's on this now in-home hospice, which basically means they bring everything to her. So it saves it supposedly it's supposed to make my life easier, as I don't have to be chasing down doctors and chasing down all this stuff. It'll all be provided in home. But then they had a Friday night. They were supposed to deliver some medication that she was low on, so I had to wait. So I got a call, and I teach on Fridays, and so I got a call saying, "Hey, we're here." I'm like, "There's no one to." I forget. Oh, it was like 8 o'clock, right? It was like 8 o'clock or something like that. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. So they said they were trying to deliver the medication, but I wasn't there and no one was there. So they said, "Well, we'll come back on Saturday. Are you available from 1 to 3?" Like, okay, come back on Saturday 1 to 3. I'll be waiting for you to pick up the medication because I have to sign for it. All right, so Saturday comes by, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I can go in the morning and do the live stream, and do some things, and then come back and be in time for the medication. Well, I didn't have time, so I went to the gym, did some warm workouts till about 1 o'clock. Went back home and waited for them, hopefully to get there, before 3 o'clock, and then I'd be able to get the medication. Right? Nope. They didn't deliver between 1 and 3. I called them at 3 o'clock. Hey, where are you guys? Oh, that was an estimate. We don't know when we're gonna get. I had to go out to Palm Springs, and I don't have to. I'm sorry, but you're not. You're not. I won't be able to make it till like little after 3. I'm like, okay, after 3. What's that? So they get there like at like 5 or 30 or 6. And the worst part about all that, and maybe it's just I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but like sitting at home and essentially being trapped doing nothing because I didn't have a whole lot of energy either yesterday. I felt even less energy waiting for something and just doing nothing, but also feeling not great enough that you are feeling good enough to actually do anything. Like I was tired, so I was like, I just don't feel so good. I need to kind of rest and take a nap. But then you're just in a cycle where you're like, I can't do anything, but I'm too tired to do anything. I'm tired, and it just gets worse and worse. So I'm in a total mental kind of what do you call it? Purgatory. So purgatory. You guys are you're really excited that I want to talk about Neil Breen today, aren't you? But pizza and Coke helps. Yeah, and that's the other thing that kind of is rough for me too. Is like, I like to get a pizza. I love pizza and Coke. But my mom, I get a little worried because my mom needs to have food that's sort of easy to. She can't really bite on stuff. So like, I'm trying to figure out things to make. So last night I made these ribs and mashed potatoes. So I could just cut up the rib meat and then put it on the mashed potatoes, and she can eat that. And that worked out pretty good. When I make ribs, it's delicious. But man, I just don't feel so great. Pedro says, in the last 2 weeks, the name Neil Breen appeared too much on my internet, and now it got me scared. Now I have to ask, why is he on the title here today? That's a good question. Yogurt, says Chris Wills. Well, maybe I should start doing that. I used to eat more yogurt. But I have been going to the gym a lot, so I've been adding sort of physical stress. But I like it actually, and I don't know. I'm going to be really, really. Did I spell Neil Breen's name wrong on that? Oh yeah, I'm probably right. Neil Breen. Let's change that real quick with an N. There we go. All right, cool. So it is. Yeah, it is. I've been going to the gym, and I think the trick with me in the gym is I avoid cardio. I do a little bit of cardio, but I don't use that as my primary source of exercise because it's very hard on my body and it's hard on my psyche. And if it becomes a chore, I won't go. The trick is for me at least to make it that I want to go. Make it hard enough that I feel because when I did my arms on Saturday, I felt the burn. It felt challenging. It hurt, but it didn't hurt like bad. It hurt, like it felt like you're doing something good. Uh, Sorry, my mom is hurting. My mom's thing is she's not really hurting. It's to be totally honest, she's end of life, but how long that process is going to be questionable. I mean, it could be. Look, I to be totally honest, it could be a month. It could be 10 years. She's in a shape where it's just like I don't know what we're at, and right now she's kind of coming out of a cold, the cough that I had. So I gave her my cough, but it's mentally draining to be around her because any strangle, it's just weak. It's just like a moaning of just oh my god, it's really really hard to take it. I have to wake her up and I have to take her to the bathroom and I have to I don't have to lift her, but I have to kind of hold her to make sure to do that kind of stuff. So it's just rough. Yeah, it is not easy. It's also one of those things where I'm self-employed. I'm starting to try to take on more responsibilities, but I'm feeling like it's just becoming really overwhelming. Like I did that Avatar video, and that did gangbusters. I did the Fallout video, the Lens video, and that did okay. It didn't do great. Actually, it didn't do well at all, but it did. I was happy with it. I was very proud of it. I wanted to do more videos as the plan, but when half of your day is like just taking care of my mom, and the other half is kind of doing the responsibilities that pay, and I'm trying to get YouTube to pay more by basically putting out more stuff. It's really, really, really difficult. And I want to try, on my schedule of things to do is to try to add more, more content and try to make some short films. Cause like let's put the pandemic behind us. Let's make some short films. Let's actually do something. But it's like, where am I going to find any of that time? Even some of the money, look, for me, making short films probably isn't too expensive because I have all the equipment, but it's just becoming a really, really challenging thing to do. Anyhow, that's that. I liked some of the comments on the cardio. Cardio gave me knee problems. I refuse to run on a treadmill. Says D-Animal for life. If I have to do cardio, I'll run outside. I'm also too heavy to do running. Like I can't run. It's just not good for me. But I can do strength training. That's what I'm trying to do. I like the fact that the gym I joined has racquetball. So I haven't gotten racquetball partners yet. I'm still trying to play by myself, trying to get a feel for the court. I used to play a lot more tennis, but I never played like really good tennis. I was never really good at tennis. I played with like 80-year-old people. So I got a little bit of exercise, and I got to hang out with some 80-year-old folks that were fun. Oh my gosh, thank you for the super chat here. Let's see, what is it? Super chat says, let's pull it up here. From Swisted Films, put on Paramount and Parliament and dance. That's cardio too, and it feels great. Yeah, exactly. I like the racquetball. So I've been playing by myself, like just hitting against the wall and trying to see how many rallies I can get up to. I get up to about 15 is my max. If I can get better at that, obviously it's going to make me a better player when I play with some real people. But racquetball, holy moly, if you like work at it, that is cardio. And for me, it's cardio I can do and not mind at all because you actually have a point. I hate doing cardio with no point. Zach Schwartz says, thanks for catching me live. Yep, not quite dead. Not dead yet, but live is definitely good to be. Let's see. It's off topic. Oh, there we go. Chris Will says, it's off topic. I must tell you that I've learned a great deal about filmmaking for videos. Thank you so much. Thank you for commenting. Yeah, I think I saw, hey, Jack Ripper, how you doing? I saw on a, whoops, I didn't mean to remove from queue. Send. I saw on Reddit one time, and I'll talk about this for a little bit here. I guess I'm burying the Neil Breen thing, aren't I? I should probably talk about the Neil Breen thing. Let me get this other point across first, then we'll talk about Neil Breen. So I finally watched one of his movies, Double Down. That was something. Anyhow, I saw on a Reddit post that somebody was saying that they were getting tired of YouTubers and filmmaking, like they've been doing it for 6 or 8 months, and they're like, oh, it just feels like the YouTubers are not, there's not a whole lot they're saying that's new and interesting. And I think I talked about this on a long time stream, but I'll bring it up again. The thing is, there is not that much technical information to get started in filmmaking, and that's the thing. I talked about this in a stream entitled something like "Filmmakers Have an Expiration Date" or something like that. Because I believe that everything in filmmaking can be kind of introduced in about 5 minutes. I used to think 5 minutes. I think now it's going more like 15 minutes. Any one topic I can introduce you to in about 15 minutes. If I break it down even further, like exposure might take an hour. But if I told you, like, how long would it take me to introduce you to the idea of shutter speed? About 5 minutes. I could show you what shutter speed meant in 5 minutes. I can show you what aperture means in about 5 minutes. I can show you like what ISO means in about, ISO may be a little trickier, about 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. I can show you all these one little details. I can show you what a clapboard means. I can show you what time code means. Give me 5 minutes and I can explain any of that stuff to you in literally 5 minutes. So there is a limited amount of information you need to get familiar with in terms of filmmaking, right? And that's the thing I think with YouTube, that's where YouTube kind of excels at. And that you can go and you can watch, and unfortunately I hate the exposure triangle, but you can go watch an exposure triangle video literally in 2 minutes. Oh, Practical said he's watched the timecode video. Oh, thank you. Timecode ones. I can introduce you to these topics, any one of them in about 5 minutes. Okay? So YouTube's really good at that because you can glean a lot of information. The problem is, after you've gone through all of the information about how to record sound, how to record video, how to light, the basics of how to block, composition. Once you go through all of that, what else is left? Well, what's left is the art. What's left is the endless discussion that revolves around art, that revolves around like intention and stuff like that. It revolves around the craft of filmmaking, and that discussion never ends, right? The introductory stuff you can get over with very quickly. The learning curve is not too steep when it comes to the filmmaking. The learning curve at the very beginning is very, very gentle. It's and it's exciting. You're learning something new. But when you get past that first part, there's not much left. There is a lot of deeper conversations to have. I don't know, and I don't want to be cruel or mean, but like a lot, it's like on my video about the normal lens, somebody was saying like, oh, it's good to have you back making these technical videos instead of your other videos where you talk about other things like, I don't know, Avatar or something like that, or even these live streams. I think people don't like the fact I do live streams. They want me to do these technical videos. Well, once you go through all the technical videos, you got to find something else to do. You got to find something else more interesting to learn, right? Jack D. Ripper says a good example there, the Robert Rodriguez 10-minute film school, because a lot of the introductory elements really do only take 10 minutes. But what's really fascinating is when you dig deeper down, and that's when I start talking about. Look, my next video on frame rate is not going to do anything with actual frame rate. I'm going to talk about biology. I'm going to talk about the weirdness of how we perceive things and how we don't even we accept the world. Was it the term is the phrase is we accept the world as it is presented to us? Is that from the Matrix? Right? We don't realize that our senses of the world also color the way we perceive the world, and that's our eyes and all that stuff. Yeah, account for comments says I could not keep up with filmmaking technology, and I have never the time or money to make use of them. The filmmaking technology I think is also a lot of just marketing bullshit. Thank you. Yeah, account says thank you. I really like your channel because it's understanding the foundation type and rarely outdated. That's I thank you so much for perfectly recognizing what I'm trying to do here, and is understand the foundation. because filmmaking technology is always changing. It's not always changing. It's always marketing. Like most of the stuff out there is marketing, 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 marketing. Anyhow. Wing It Productions was saying, digging white noise or wit noise. White noise, I know what you say. Did you find the audio mix to be problematic like most current movies? It's shaky cam for the ears. I didn't think so. I thought, maybe you also remember too, the audio mix. It's like, isn't it ironic that you're talking about the audio mix for a film called White Noise? I think there are some scenes where it's purposely, a lot of dialogue is overlapping. Like there's a lot of people talking over each other. It's very Woody Allen-esque, but I think that's purposeful. I think that was purposely done to generate that sense of white noise. And I've gone through the book a little bit. The movie and the book follow pretty closely. There's a lot of scenes in the movie that are just from the book. But I kind of feel like what the author is kind of getting at is the white noise of suburban life. I think that's where we're going with that. So shaky cam for the ears might be a very apt analogy, because it's like there's so much going on. The TV's always on. The TV's always on in the background. It's just white noise, right? But it's interesting. A lot of gear YouTubers just sound like they're trying to get you to buy something new. Yeah, that's the problem. And, like it's in the same thing in the realm of the 3D printing world too, right? Like I'm a hobby 3D printer. Holy moly. One of my car's neighbors trying to basically burn out their engine. My God. I don't know if you could hear that on stream. But in the 3D world, look, okay, throw some shade. I'm going to throw some shade. He's not watching my channel. This is a 3D printing channel called Uncle Jesse, and it bugs me because I know he's playing on my nostalgia for calling himself Uncle Jesse because from Family Full House. But literally every time I see that channel, it's like, dude, you're just. He creates some good stuff and sometimes offers some good tips, but a lot of it's just like, I just got this new printer and you should get it too. Look how awesome this new printer is. It's just amazing. It never fails. This is my new printer. It's awesome. It's like, dude, I already have a printer. I already have that printer. Besides all the work that goes in the education side of the career, do you write and direct fiction? I'd like to do more of it. I haven't written or directed fiction in like 8 years. It's been a long, long time. And by fiction, I do mean short films. And by short films, by stuff that you guys would never. I never made a dime on my short films. I call it's filmmaker IQ. I'm not pretending to be like Hollywood level filmmaking, although I've got people that watch me that are Hollywood level. I'm not dissing them. I'm not saying what they do is wrong, and that they're not necessarily looking at what I'm doing and think what I'm doing is like wrong. I'm not trying to present myself as something I'm not, but I'm just what we do here, or what I do here, is basically try to present an approach to how to make motion picture media. Yeah. Yep, and that's because they're sponsored by product producers. Absolutely, that's the thing. Yeah, and that's really the problem. Like, when you talk, whenever I want you to take this. I'm 40 years old. All right. I know I look like I'm 60, but I'm only 40. I'm only 40, guys. I'm not a true boomer. I'm literally a millennial. All right. I've been around this earth a little bit, and I've gone to like the NAB show. I think the longest I did was like 12 years. I had 12 years in a row, right? So I went to the conference where all they do is shove marketing bullshit in your face. I did that for 12 years. All right? Let me tell you something about Hollywood and about these manufacturers. They're all full of marketing bull. Everything you hear is marketing bull. I love it when people tell me, like, oh, they're making groundbreaking, they're doing groundbreaking this and groundbreaking that. So you think the industry, whose job is to create fantasy, is not trying to sell you a fantasy? So like everything I hear, this new high frame rate is cutting edge technology. It's like, no, it's not. It's not cutting edge at all. I literally saw, and people always, again, I'm not going to make this a frame rate thing, but like I remember going to NAB. Again, NAB is where I went for a good 12 years stretch there. COVID kind of stopped me going. And then right now my schedule looks like I probably won't go this year because I've got a date right in the middle of the show, so I probably shouldn't be taking it off. But no, I'm not Gen Y. I'm literally millennial because I turned 18 in year 2000. Yeah, I'm just on the cusp of Gen X and millennial. I'm the oldest millennial. Anyhow, so I remember NAB, like going to a Sony booth and watching this incredible, like I think it was 120 frames per second. This is like 2008, 2010 maybe. So like they had like NAB, you get to see all the latest in technology, right? So anyhow, yeah, I'm on the cusp, right? Cripes. Next thing they'll colorize black and white movies. I know. Yeah, so 50 years old is the younger side of Gen X. I think that's about right. I think mid 40s is the youngest of Gen X. Yeah. Moon Safari says being able to shoot 24 FPS is the new tech. That's what I have to constantly remind everybody. Absolutely. But anyhow, yeah, so what I'm saying is that every day you are being marketed to, like constantly. And you don't think I'm kind of marketing to you too? Of course I am. Although I'm not making any money on these. I think I'm going to make maybe $500. That Avatar video, and I'm probably not going out of whatever. No one's paying attention. That Avatar video would be like 60,000 views. I'm probably going to get $100 out of that. And that's how much I'm going to get for 60,000 views. It's not much. So anyhow, man, I've been complete. I keep forgetting. Oh shoot. Let me get some of your comments. 65 is the start of Gen X. Is it that early? Wow. I guess you're right. Yeah. Gen X is probably is after Boomer, right? Boomer. Yeah, baby boomer, and then Gen X, and then millennial, and then Gen Y is the next one, right? Let's see. Right now, the information technology prior working in manufacturing, all marketing hype there too. Yeah, like I think what I was saying in my what video was it? It was my 32-bit float video, where I said it too early in another live stream, which I referenced Mad Men. So Mad Men's an awesome show, but the very pilot episode, they basically said, how can we differentiate your cigarettes from everyone else's cigarettes? And the thing is, well, like, how do you make your cigarettes? Well, we take the South Carolina tobacco grown in the South Carolina sun. We crop it. We clean it, and then we toast it, and then we put it in the dryer, and then John Draper's like, no, what was that? You toast it, right? And the guy's like, well, yeah, everyone toasts their tobacco, and then Don Draper's no, everyone else's tobacco is poison. Yours is toasted. That's marketing. And that's exactly what's happening as technology basically, us millennials and Gen Xers, we have grown up. We've seen technology boom from, 2000 to 2023. The computer is unrecognizable between now and 20 years ago. The amount of change has been insane, right? But how much is the change in the last 3 years as far as computers? It's there, but it's much more incremental, much smaller. So because you can no longer advertise on how much faster and how much more you can do. You have to market it in so many other blustery ways, and that's basically why it's toasted now, right? We're in the heavy marketing phase of technology. Anyhow, Max Headroom was filmed at 30 FPS. Was it? I think you're right. I'm not sure. Remember, it was MTV, so it might have been 30. But it makes sense that it would make sense that it would have been. But yeah, I know. When are we going to talk about Neil Breen, guys? All right. Let's talk about Neil Breen. All right, so last it was Saturday night. Well, no, it was Friday night. That's what it was. That's why I couldn't pick up the pills because I was watching the Neil Breen movie. So my friend was like, "Hey, we're gonna get a bunch of guys together for some for a movie and some dinner." Other friend wanted to go get sushi, so we had some sushi. Which I ate too much sushi. I'm not used to all you can eat sushi anymore. I mean, I haven't done that for a long time, so I don't know how to play the game. Now, if you want my opinion, okay, I'm going to bury some more Neil Breen here. In Vegas has the best strategy for all you can eat sushi. My God, my neighbor in his car. I swear to God. Anyhow, Vegas has the best game in that you go to Vegas, you go off the strip, and all you can eat sushi place is you have 2 hours, and they just bring you whatever you want. You just tell them, hey, I want the tuna roll. They bring a tuna roll. I want the happy-go-lucky roll, and they bring you that. And then you eat it, and then that's it. There's no where I live, they gamify it. So you have 3 chances to order. So you have to sit there and you mark down 3 things that you want. And then they bring it to you. Then you get another round, you get 3 more things, and you can order whatever you want, but you only have 3 opportunities to order. So that incentivizes you to over order, right? Because you think I'm not gonna get another chance. And then your eyes are too big for your stomach. Rather than Vegas model is they just bring whatever you want. Like, hey, I want this, and they bring it to you. That's it. And you probably don't order as much because you eat and you order. Anyhow, I was not feeling great after that. So my friend was having this movie night. So we said, what movie we're watching? Oh, a movie that you probably had never heard of, but, well, he knew I heard of it, but you've never seen, but it's going to be great. It's Neil Breen's Double Down. I'm like, oh, good. I've never seen a Neil Breen movie. I've seen him on Red Letter Media. Let's go watch this Neil Breen movie, Double Down. Holy moly. Now, the thing I will instantly tell you about Double Down is I have watched movies that are worse than Double Down in film festivals. I have been in film festivals and seen movies that are made with much less care, much less craft, much less competency than Double Down. But man, oh man, that movie, it was. My friend was saying, so many people were saying that it's what David Lynch tries to be, but Neil Breen accidentally stumbles into being bizarre. It is like the whole movie. You're kind of waiting for the plot to start, and it never really starts. So, what is Neil Breen's Double Down? All right, Neil Breen, and if you ever, I don't have to watch Star Trek because of Red Letter Media, exactly. So Neil Breen, and actually, I didn't realize this movie they were covered in the Max Landis episode. The Max Landis episode was removed from YouTube because they removed it. Red Letter Media cut ties from Max Landis because Max Landis has got a pretty troubled history, got Me Too'd, and and I probably believe that it was a justified thing, but anyhow, but it kind of comes from that. That's where I saw Red Letter Media watching. So Neil Breen, he plays the same character in every movie he makes. He's like this somewhat older looking guy, and he's the best. He's the best at everything. Whatever he does, he's always the best. So he's this computer hacker. Or no, he's not a computer hacker. He's a biological scientist or whatever. He's just so good. He can crack into anything. He's so smart. He's won every single medal in the universe and everything, right? And he's living out in the desert, and he's in a car, and he's got these salad dishes, and he's got all these laptops with him, and all he does is eat tuna all day, and he's making a deal with these shady CIA officers I don't understand. They were trying to poison the Las Vegas water supply. I couldn't understand why he was supposed to do that, or he was trying to prevent that from happening. I don't know. And then he sent on a job to assassinate some people, and he ends up picking up the wrong people, and then and then he finds the real people he's supposed to assassinate, and they're already dead. I don't know. It's an insane movie that's trying to be super artsy and particularly clever, but you're just sitting there what is this? It does not make any sense. So anyhow, that's why I mentioned Neil Breen. I figured I'd always talk about some movie I watched, and I did watch Neil Breen, and my God, that was amazing. It wasn't amazing as in good, but oh man, that's bad. It was entertaining as hell though. Very entertaining. Did I see the trailer for his new film? No, I haven't seen. I mean, I've only seen one. I've only seen Double Down. That's the only movie I've seen of his. So we were watching the other one where he's like, he figured out how to do like green screen, and he was just green screening himself and everything, and then flying around everywhere. Oh my God. I always wondered if they would address the Max Landis thing. I think they just got rid of it. I think they cut ties from that, which is honestly the only way you could have played it. Really, he is a true artist. I definitely think Breen belongs in a pantheon that he's better than Ed Wood for sure. I think there is a singular auteur. There's definitely an auteurist thing about Neil Breen that definitely makes him. He's way better than the Disaster Artist. The Disaster Artist, what's his name? You're tearing me apart. That guy. He's kind of a one-hit wonder, and no even call it a one-hit wonder. He's just like a one-time off kind of thing. Neil Breen is a true like auteur of the cinema. He continued Tommy Wiseau. Thank you. So he's not Tommy Wiseau. Like Tommy Wiseau doesn't quite have the drive I think that Neil Breen does. Our Element had they just had Justin Roiland do a guest voice in a video too. What happened to Justin Roiland? Something bad happened to him now, or is he now getting canceled too? Or so I know I saw that where they did what you call Rick and Morty voices with him. Yeah, Ross says Tommy tried to cash in on it. Neil is the real deal. Neil Breen believes in Neil Breen because he's the best. He's the best around. Yeah, Swisted Films. Max Headroom was TV. TV was shot at 29.97. Not always. Like I Love Lucy is on TV too, but it was shot at 24. Max Headroom may have been also shot at 29.97 because they were, legitimately trying to go for that video look. So, yeah. He's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious artist. I congratulate you, Moad Sabatorgia. I can't pronounce. Sorry, I mispronounced your name, but good job on spelling that out. Because I would not have the effort to Google that. That's a very well done. And I have also played Mary Poppins. I've done 19 shows of Mary Poppins, and believe me, I could not spell that word for the life of me. Although it is pretty much phonetically spelled, but it is a hard word to write out. That's for sure. All right, so yeah, that's the story with what you call it, with Neil Breen. Max Headroom was shot on 35 millimeter. You can also run 35 millimeter film at 30. That's the only question. That you could probably go it up to that. And if Max Headroom was also British, if it was produced in the British, it might have been 25. So, who knows? I don't know. Like I would have to go back and research that, tell you whether Max Headroom was exactly 30 or exactly 25. I don't know. Yep. I Love Lucy was originally broadcasted in 60 FPS. I mean, it's 60i, right? Exactly. So all I Love Lucy, Perry Mason, anything that was shot on film was 24. But it was using that 3.2 pull down to get it onto 60i. So it wasn't 60i. Like if you go on CBS and watch any official I Love Lucy clips, they're all 24. FC says, "Who am I? What am I?" Neil Breen. That was a movie so desperately trying to be artistic, although not so. For some reason, it wasn't so bad that it was boring. It held that fine line between being pretentiously artistic and being utterly boring. So, yeah, Tommy Wiseau tried to say he was making a comedy the whole time. Breen owns up the fact that he makes unique art and he's completely untainted by internet culture. That's what's great about Breen. Look, I'm not trying to like hold him up to a standard or anything. I'd say a movie like we talked about last week was White Noise, is a far superior movie in every bit of imagination. However, voices like Neil Breen that exist, part of you is like, I'm so glad. And then like Left Hand Puppetry says, when do we get a John Hess feature length film? What's the next steps? I'm looking at Neil Breen and going like, why can't I produce a freaking feature length if Neil Breen can make something like this? I mean, how long do you think it took Neil Breen to make Double Down? Maybe 3 days, 4 days of shooting, and a lot of stock footage. But oh man. Yeah, when are we going to get a John Hess feature length film? Well, as I mentioned, I don't want to drag it back down to my miserable personal life, but it's just a matter of not having any effort or time to do it. Hi again, it's David the Gnome. I got a question. What program do you use to edit and stitch together your videos? Premiere or Pro or what? I use all of Adobe's suite. So Premiere Pro, After Effects are the two. I spend 95% in Premiere Pro and After Effects. The other 5% I probably spend in Photoshop preparing graphics for Premiere Pro or After Effects. Yeah, 60i is 60p wannabe with half the vertical resolution. Yeah, that's, 60i and the 60p thing, I was trying to explain to my class today, and I don't think they got it, but that's okay. The class is not that technically inclined. I mean, the course is not technically inclined. The class is, some kids understood it, but that's not the purpose of the class. But yeah, 60p and 60i is something that very, very few people understand, that if you aren't familiar with 60i television, if you haven't actually watched a cathode ray tube in your life, you may not understand that I get a lot of this, right? And I argue with people about frame rate. They're like, we had 60i since television. Well, 60i is not really. It's really 30 frames a second. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Anyhow. Rigel7 says, you fly me down, pay me, lodge me, and I'll work for you, boss. Or Haas. Well, yeah, there's a lot of people that do that, but I gotta fly you down. I gotta pay you. That's the problem. You think I'm burning? I'm not. I mean, I'm sitting there like looking at my bank account today. I'm like, oh crap. Well, I was like, well, I'm right at the middle of like, I'm at the end of the month. I'm still waiting on like Google to pay me, but Google hasn't paid me yet. Hey, Matthias, how you doing? I love our conversations that can go on forever that I think no one else notices, but I love talking to you about this stuff. So I saw in a forum someone saying he had friends who think I paid for the TV, so I will use motion smoothing. I have to use every feature this TV is capable of, or I'm throwing my money away. That's awesome. Oh my God. Does Neil Breen shoot everything location green screen? Is that because he doesn't want to shoot on location, doesn't want to get permit to film on location? Well, Double Down, he shot that was all on location. And we were talking about how like in Vegas, I don't know if you guys know, but like you can get away with shooting on the strip pretty easily as long as you're not like intruding on everybody. Like if you're just shooting so the cool thing about Double Down, some of the scenes took place on a strip, right? So they would get a master shot of Neil Breen walking up to the CIA guy they're supposed to talk to, and then they would cut to close-ups. But the great thing about these Neil Breen close-ups is that they're always like chest up, and the background is just blue sky. So like obviously they shot that anywhere they wanted. They didn't need to shoot it on the strip, right? So they just shot the master shot on the strip, and then they go somewhere else and shot the other stuff. But yeah, since then, Neil Breen did a lot of green screen because basically he didn't want the effort to go to, because he's kind of more famous now, I imagine. So people might recognize him on the street or something like that. And for sure he's not getting permits and stuff like that. Yeah. I think people gravitate toward Breen because you see him trying, even though his choices are misguided. Yeah, and there is something about Breen that is better than, like I said, I've been to film festivals. Ironically, I tell the story once in a while at the Las Vegas Film Festival. I was talked into seeing this one guy's movie, and because he talked a big game about he's trying to. It was about recovery, and I was doing a lot of work with alcoholics recoveries and stuff like that. I honestly don't have any issues with that. My only addiction right now might be to social media, which I should definitely freaking cut back because I think it's making me depressed. But anyhow, he talked me into this movie, and his movie was worse than Neil Breen's movie. Like it was boring. It was somewhat pretentious, but it was just so painfully boring. And Neil Breen's movie, you're not. I mean, yeah. Well, when you are with friends and you had like a glass of wine in your hand and you can just talk and say, because Neil Breen in Double Down, there are lots of just scenes that go on with no dialogue and just music that you can just kind of goof around and just make fun of it. But anyhow, there's something about Neil Breen. I wouldn't count it out as just like he's just a terrible filmmaker. I don't think he's just a terrible filmmaker. There's something about him. Maybe it's the pretense of the fantasies that he has, the kind of I don't know. It'll take somebody that has a lot more knowledge of Neil Breen in order to understand it. All right, now I'm going to piss off a lot of you people. Have I seen RRR? Yes, and honestly, I don't like it. I do not. Well, I appreciate it. There's some aspects of RRR I love. I love the dance sequences of RRR. I think that the musical numbers are terrific in RRR. To me, everything else is overblown and overinflated, and just kind of tiresome. Like, I don't know why anybody, like, how can people on one hand say, like, I hate CGI, Marvel CGI is boring and dumb, and then go watch RRR, and the CGI is clearly worse. Like, I know that's a very shallow interpretation, but, like, the CGI in RRR is fair. I would say it's fair. It gets a point across, but it's not particularly, like, well done. It's about my level of approach, right? But other than that, I think the movie was too long. Like it just goes on and on. It could have easily been cut like 30 minutes down. And then at the very end, I kind of feel, maybe it's not necessarily a knock on it. I feel it's a little bit too jingoistic. It's a little too jingoistic. And people might say, well, like Top Gun Maverick is very jingoistic. Yeah, I would say it's a little jingoistic, but not to the extent that RRR is. RRR feels a little more like, rah, 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 our side, and F everybody else. And that's kind of my feelings on RRR. Anyhow, did I watch Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio? Yes, I did. I loved it, except for the musical numbers, which were so bad it kind of dragged my opinion of the movie down a little bit. I mean, it's good, but the musical numbers are so awful. Like they had no business being there. They could have just ripped them right straight out of the movie. Benjamin Dover says, "How about Kickstarter to give Neil Breen the budget of RRR and see what happens?" That'd be kind of. Well, but would it be good? Because then we take all the charm out of what Neil Breen does. And Neil Breen does is just super low budget, terrible stuff. Anyhow, give your film students one scene as film homework and then edit them together to make your movie. There you go. My new approach this semester is going to be forcing the kids to watch one movie, TV show, or online video, or could be any of those, and then write down like 100 words what they thought about it and how they would apply it to their life, their work. And I think I got like 40% did the first week, so I'm going to have to hit it hard. I'm going to have them do it every single week. Every single week they're going to have to do that. So Breen just needs a franchise to run with. Neil Breen, hear me out. Neil Breen, Marvel movie. I mean, at this point, why not, right? Yeah, better yet, just have them paint your house and wax your car and tell them stuff like wax on, wax off. My friend would always make fun of that. Wax off, wax off. You know what movie I love? Okay, so I have to come back. This is John. Alfred Hitchcock was known to be really a big fan of Smokey and the Bandit. The movie that I think is probably the perfect movie, one of the perfect movies, Absolutely, like everything about this movie works, and you will probably be surprised that I am talking about this movie. The movie is not another teen movie. That movie is like perfection. It is so laser sharp in how it attacks and perfectly like executes the purpose of the film, which is to make fun of teen movies from the 80s and 90s. Not another teen movie is I come back to that movie like every few months when I'm feeling not so good, and I watch that movie and I'm just brought to such a happy and warm place, because that movie is so good, and it's so sharp in the way it skewers the topic. It's so good. My favorite scene. If you guys don't know what Not Another Teen Movie is, it's one of those movies. Galaxy Quest is another one. I need to go back and watch that. I haven't seen that in a while. I'll bet you I'll really enjoy Galaxy Quest. It's one of those movies that is just Not Another Teen Movie is a rarity in Hollywood today, and that is it is a pure comedy. It's not a comedy action movie. It's not a comedy mystery. It's a pure comedy movie. And it's not the football. The football scene's great. They're all great. All the scenes are great. Cole says the football scene. The scene my favorite scene of all is when Janie, who's the main character, who's like this ugly duckling girl. She's an ugly duckling, but all the other girl needs to do is make her over is take off her glasses and undo her ponytail, and now she's like the most beautiful girl at the ball, kind of thing. So my favorite scene is, so she's the most beautiful girl, and she goes to the party that the Ferris Bueller character is putting on. Ferris Bueller kind of joke character. And she's like, I'm drunk. And then she jumps off the roof into the pool, and she comes out, hey. And then Chris Evans plays the boyfriend from Captain America. He's like, Janie, I gave you a non-alcoholic beer. He's like, oh, okay, whatever. And so Captain America's ex-girlfriend, Jamie Presley, comes by, and she plays like the airhead, like bratty mean girl type, right? And she's like, she just starts bitching at her. And then she's like, oh, wouldn't it be, what she does is she starts pouring her drink all over her dress. The Jamie Presley character. She pours the drink on the dress. The funny part about that is she's already wet. Like, she just climbed out of the pool. She's already wet. She's like, oh, look at me. Oh, look what's happening. Oh, look, I'm so sorry. And the way that Janie plays it, oh my God. She's like, ah, and she just starts crying and running off. Oh my, that's like my favorite scene, because like I just look at the actors and I look at the way it's written, and everybody's just they're so laser in on the joke. They all know exactly what they're doing. The focus on the joke is so like strong. Everybody's in on it, and they play it so well. David knows I knew it'd be the drink pouring, because it's the greatest scene in that movie of a movie that has a lot of great scenes. But that everyone is so in on that, and that's when she starts running and screaming, and all the people at the party are like staring at her because it's super awkward. And then the guy in the background's like, and then the other girl's like, no, this is not a slow clap moment. This is not a slow clap. He's like, when will I know it's a slow clap moment? It's like, you'll know. Yeah, it is so tight. It's sort of scary, like Scary Movie, in that the writing comes in such a rapid, congruent combos. It's just super. Yeah, it's super tight. It's super tight. What's a good parody of Oscar bait films? Probably the opening trailers for Tropic Thunder are the best I can think of. The perfect film for me is The Exorcist. Yeah, the other reason why Not Another Teen Movie really resonates with me is because it happens to coincide right with my interest, right when I started becoming interested in film and filmmaking. Like I was born in '82, so I'm 40 years old. So right around 2000s when I turned 18. So right about that time was when I started really getting interested in film and filmmaking and making videos and actually I was more television back in those days. I wasn't so much movies, but I did a lot of, stuff. I did a lot of like mock movies, mock commercials and stuff like that, and little funny videos and all that before there was YouTube. before I actually had an outlet for my crazy weirdo videos back in those days. And so not another teen movie has is a soundtrack that is so reminiscent of that time period. The songs in there have this sound that is pure 90s sound. You know, kiss me, da ba da ba doo. That song, all like there's a lot of songs that are that have that ska influence. I don't know how to describe them. I'm not very good musicologist as far as pop 90s. Remember, I'm not a very pop music guy. But there's a sound of the 90s that very tight snare drum, and very clean, sort of Nickelback, sort of, what's that guy? Hey, yeah, you're a rock star. Although he's a little later, but very clean sound of 90s pop, and that's what also drives my love for that film. It's very nostalgic for me. Yeah. I always hated ska. Yeah, I never liked ska either, but I'm trying to if I'm talking about ska, I'm thinking like No Doubt back in those days. Gwen Stefani and No Doubt, kind of like that kind of a ska sound. Very clean. It's a very clean sound, right? It's like it's almost squeegeed clean. Like, I don't know what it is about it. Oh, So I Married an Axe Murderer. I haven't seen that movie since way back. Smash Mouth, that's the name of the thing. Skanking dance that they did. Remember Creed? I'm not a pop music guy, so like the big names have to be like super big to me. Creed I was never into. But I'm thinking like my high school days are like, it was like Britney Spears, it was the Backstreet Boys, it was NSYNC. Although I wasn't a fan of the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC, but they were around me. It was living life, living la vida loca, that guy. And all that, like it was like sort of, but it was ska punk, yeah, like it was ska. It was like punk, but it was very clean and very corporatized, almost very, daily. Remember TRL, Total Request Live, MTV, Carson Daly, very Carson Daly, super squeaky clean, almost reminiscent of a Dick, what's his name? Dick Clark, very Dick Clark in a way. So anyhow, those are the two reasons I love that movie, and there's a lot of reasons I love that movie, but it's also kind of fun to watch, like not another teen movie, and look at some of the actors that are in there, and like, oh, there's Captain America, and then that guy went off to do the guy that played the fat guy. He like lost a lot of weight. It's amazing. You go look, if you Google the guy that played Ralphie or whatever his name was, like he's super skinny. He's like not super skinny, but he's lost a lot of weight. So good for him. That's cool stuff. All right, David Fincher uses some great songs. Yeah, Fincher's also, Fincher was born of that era, because Fincher came up through that '90s era, right? Like he was a commercial director in the early '90s, right? So. Yeah, he dropped like 300 pounds. It's amazing. I hope I can. In my first, I've gone like 2 weeks now going to the gym, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. I've dropped about a couple pounds, which is to be expected. You shouldn't be expecting more than like maybe 2 pounds a week, right? So my weights fluctuate a little bit, but I feel like I'm going down. So hopefully I can be in that club. I'm not going to drop 300 because then I wouldn't weigh anything. Yeah. Yeah. So, when we gain something, I'm going to get some muscle. I'm going to get jacked. But I'm going to lose a little bit of this guy down here, which would be good. But it's got to be fun. That's the thing I got. Matthias wants to talk about frame rate. Let's talk about some frame rate for a bit. Matthias says, I'm talking with a guy who loves 24. He says he's not tech savvy. I feel this is why he believes HFR miss. For example, maybe it's just a generation divide. Young people prefer 60p. I think it's true, though. I think young people are convinced they like 60p. That's the problem. He says cinema is such a young art form, he doesn't dare guess its future and wonder what the future will see cinema up today as early cinema era. I don't think so. He says, in the same way that, let's continue on with the thought here, in the same way that we see early cinema as late 19th century, 20th century, then maybe people see these films as merely historically important. I don't think so. So the reason why I don't think so is because, again, like I said, everything is marketing these days. All stuff is marketing. So most people that like high frame rate are also gamers. They're primarily gamers. I would say 90%. Let's be a little fair. 90% are gamers who basically only translate what they think of in gaming into frames. There are some people, I admit, that do like high frame rate that are not gamers, and I will just leave that as a tiny little minuscule kind of like anomaly, right? Most of them are gamers. They would not know they are watching 24 frames a second if they were not told. That's the issue. So the problem also is they're gamers, they're not film watchers. I've never had a discussion with somebody about high frame rate where we talk about like white noise, where we talk about, like everything everywhere all at once, or what hot American summer, or anything like that. It's always the Marvel movie did not look good in low frame rate, in 24 frames a second, and on their computer screen. The always coming down to that thing. It always comes down to that. Dick Tracy is such a scary movie. I have not seen Dick Tracy since I was a kid. And I watched Dick Tracy, and I loved Dick Tracy, and I bought a Dick Tracy yellow wallet. And this was like when I was 7 or 8 years old. Yeah, Dick Tracy's kind of creepy, man. If you think about it. It's very, 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 very creepy. If you nail the diet, you will drop weight, and if you lift, the gains will come. I think so. Yeah, so I'm going to try to kick back a little bit on that. That all you can eat sushi, yeah, that was a little bit too much. I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, we'll try to do that. We'll try to be more protein, more goods. Not limit the carbs, heavy proteins, and exercise. And I'm already feeling better talking about it. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I love it. And lift consistently. Yeah. The cool thing about they were trying to sell me their gym training and all that. I've done the training stuff. I hate the gym and the personal trainer stuff. Look, if Marvel came to me, John, you're going to be the next 24 FPS man in Marvel's 24 FPS versus the high frame rate idiots, right? If they came to me, John, you're going to need to be, but you need a 6-pack, and you need to lose like 100 pounds. I will but then here's a check for $5 million. I will get a trainer, and I will bust my butt out every single day, and I will never ever think about doing anything else but eating white meat chicken and broccoli, and just starve, whatever. If they were offer me. However, I do have a life and a job that requires me to at least be creative and try to come up with things and be in a good attitude of things. So I'm not going to be doing the white meat. I think it was what's the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, McElhaney, was saying, oh yeah, getting shredded is easy, dude. All you need to do is just quit your job and then just get rid of your wife that complains. And then, just eat chicken. Just eat white meat chicken. And all you got to do is get a personal chef, dude. It's not hard. And you just got to work out 10 hours a day. Dude, it's easy. Anybody can do it. So anyhow. But I do want to get healthier because I deserve it, right? I owe it to myself. Anyhow, the personal trainers were trying to sell me on their expensive training package, and it's like, no, I don't want. I've done it before. What I discovered is when I do personal training like that, I end up just wanting to not go because they work you too hard, and I know where my line is, and if I keep pushing to my limit, then I can, at least I feel like I've accomplished something without feeling like I'm absolutely torn apart by this. And that's where I'm at right now. So hopefully, again, starting out, I've only done it for a month, but I'm enjoying it. I'm seeing it as a stress relief rather than a stressor. And that's what those personal trainers were basically, they're a stressor. It's like, no, and I don't know why. And somebody will explain it to me properly. But every time I do one of those personal training things, you have a gym full of equipment and free weights and all that stuff over there. But every time I go to the personal training, they're like, we like to do isometric exercises. Use your own body weight. It's like, but there's a gym. I'm at a gym, and there's machines, and there's dumbbells over there, and there's free weights, and there's all kinds of things. Why don't we go over there and use some of that? But no. You want me to do stuff I can do right here? I can do at home. Why am I here? Like, why am I here then? If I'm using my own body weight. Problem with that too is like, I'm a heavy dude. I can't do my own body weight. It's way better if I just get on the machine and do closer to more regular, a possible body weight. Anyhow, that's my justification of what I believe, and I'm probably wrong, and I'll probably fail because you always fail. No, hopefully I won't fail. Hopefully I've found a way to make it enjoyable and make it a stress relief, and a way to enjoy getting healthier rather than just feeling like it's a job. Anyhow, all right. More frame rate talk about. I don't think most people know what 60p is. As long as it's high quality resolution, people would think it's good. Yeah. A lot of comments I got on my avatar video I got a significant amount of comments that said, I didn't even notice it. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, John. I didn't notice the frame rate switching. Because I think a lot of people aren't frame rate blind. I think a lot of people don't even notice that there's a frame rate difference. They just don't see it. I think those are people that maybe like don't work with it all the time. That's part of it, Christoforo says, I love slow motion at 240p. I think a lot of people do. That doesn't mean we want to shoot real speed at 240p. Let's see. I bought all the Dick Tracy toys. They're on sale because the movie bombed at the box office. Did it bomb? Yeah, I guess it did. It did get an Oscar nomination, right? I think, but it might have been an Oscar nomination for makeup, kind of like the way Suicide Squad got it. I'm a non-gamer Gen X, and I like HFR depending on the content depicted, not on all scenes. I'm kind of with you there, except for me, HFR is limited to only limited to like American Idol and live shows like that. Like if I were watching a live performance of a musical act, I would be perfectly fine with it being HFR, absolutely, but not in a movie. Speaking of which, there is a Old Town set in my town here, and I've thought about renting it. It'd be kind of cool to do like a Western there, like some sort of Western video. But the problem is, not the problem. So I go on their website, and there's this one music video. There's a music video they shot there, and it looks like, I was watching, it was like, this looks low rent. You know why? 30 frames a second. Immediately it felt like it was cheap because it had 30 frames a second. I'm not kidding. Like, that's how, if you would have just shot at 24, instantly up the value of the work. Because it was 30, it just looks like cheap video. I'm never going to be able to get around that. And my complaint with audio is all the super low dialogue, ludicrous sound effects, and yelling. I have constantly messed with volume. Netflix shows Anson Fly, Daredevil. What was I watching the other day? I had the same issue too. I had to adjust the volume a little bit. But maybe that can be solved with a TV side application too, like an auto level for the TV. I know back in the old days, remember, this is way back. Like, the TVs would advertise that they had like a way, like it would a compressor that would basically say, if you're watching like a really soft drama, and then the commercials come on, because back in those days we had commercials, it'd be like, come on down to the, it'd be like the commercial would be really loud. So in those days, the TVs would advertise that they had that ability to push down the audio when it gets too loud. No, Cole. Okay, so if you're going to ask me about a soap opera effect, no. The answer, all the thing about soap opera effect. Soap opera effect is the frame rate. Sorry, I just feel like Porky Pig there for a second. The soap opera effect is all to do with frame rate. Has nothing to do with color grading. Has nothing to do with lighting, has nothing to do with blocking. It's 100% entirely frame rate driven. Like, there's no question about that. Like, people can kind of like argue around. No. It looks like a soap opera because of the frame rate. You can take a high dollar production value, shoot it in high frame rate, it will look like a soap opera. Not because it's graded better, not because, no, none of that. It's the frame rate. It's a frame rate. It just is. Exercise is the most overrated way to lose weight. It's great for balancing your weight. That's my experience. I think with exercise, I agree with you too, though. But exercise for me is also about de-stressing and trying to raise also the basal metabolism. And so if you do exercise and you do build up muscle, it means your resting metabolism will also go up at the same time. That's the theory, right? Hopefully that's true. All right, let's see what else. I watched Tarkovsky's Stalker the other day, and it was maybe the best movie I've ever seen. There's a good recommendation. Tarkovsky's Stalker. Soap opera effect is the problem of rate pull up by the TV. No, it's not. Sorry, David. No, sorry, Patrick. You're absolutely wrong on that. Soap opera is 60p. That's the problem. It's not the pull. There's nothing to do with the pull up at all. Let's see. Matthews is saying he tells me to expect she was talking about some old Hollywood movies. She's talking about the 90s. I'm missing some context in that. Citizen Kane had great audio. Sure. I agree with you. I don't share his level of concern. Nonetheless, he's a nice guy. He might send the link to my conversation. Oh, yeah. I think I read that. Well, moving forward. What is the anti-soap opera effect frame rate? 24. Yes. Yeah, soap opera effect is legitimately, literally 100% to do with frame rate. Anybody that tells you otherwise, I'm sorry, guys, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. I'm not gonna be gentle about that. Like, you have no clue if you're saying it's not the frame rate. No, it's the frame rate, dude. This is established. This is like the term that goes way back, goes long before even I was born. They knew what the soap opera effect was. So, I mean, it's been going on. The soap operas have been going on since the 50s, right? Yeah. It has nothing to do with the acting and the sets. Nothing to do with that, guys. That's not what it is. Screenplay. No. Nothing. That's what they call a way over. You're taking the modern term. You're taking a term that was established long ago, talking about frame rate, and you're trying to apply like a modern sensibility to it. Coleman says you can see it in old Twilight Zone episodes. Look at some particular Twilight Zone episodes. There are 6 of them that were shot on video, that were 60, that are different than the ones that are shot on film, which are 24. Completely different. Other cinematic trends I'm aggravated by is modern filmmakers constantly shoot underexposed scenes and scenes with shallow depth of field. However, I did notice shaky cam trend has died down a bit. I agree with that. I really don't like the very, very, very low, not even underexposed, but extremely low contrast films. The show that bugged me the most about that was Ozarks. Like, Ozarks was so hard to watch because it, like, the shots are like, dude, I can't make anything out. You know, maybe I'll watch it now on my TV that has HDR and, you know, a little more. I could not. I enjoyed the plot of the first season, but the second season I couldn't put up with it anymore. Couldn't really put it up anymore. All right, Twisted Films, thank you. Got to run. I got to eat some ice cream. Nice. And watch the original. Yeah, watch the original Pinocchio. The best movie Disney, old school Disney has ever made is Pinocchio. Go check it out. So 60p pull up from 24 is actually 60p is the same. Then why? I don't know what you're asking, Patrick. Like, there's no 24 pull up to 60p. I don't know what that means. Like, you're confused by what's going on. Are you talking about pull down or the pull up? I'm just confused by what you're trying to say. I bet you can make a crap soap opera in 24 FPS, easy peasy, no problemo. Absolutely. That's called like half of all the movies being made out there are crappy soap operas, right? But they have a better look. They don't have the soap opera look. Again, you can be a soap opera, but like Downton Abbey is a soap opera, but it doesn't have the soap opera look. Yeah. That's why HFR is employed in a bunch of theme park rides. It adds another realism. Yep. Maybe helpful some look at Douglas Trumbull's experiments he did. Yeah, you guys realize I have been talking about this for like 8 years now. Half of the stuff you guys are saying is just wrong. HFR is used in the theme park rides as a motion simulator, right? That's the point. And that's where Douglas Trumbull has sold his HFR stuff. The thing is he's been doing the experiments with HFR since the 1980s. No one's bought it for movies, that is. For theme park rides, for motion simulation, for VR, obviously HFR is hugely better. Hugely better. Mindo is asking, why are they called soap operas? Because they were actually sponsored by soaps, like literally soap. Yeah, so that's. I mean, the idea I think at the time was kind of that they were geared toward domestic housewives because they were home at the time, So they would try to advertise domestic products like soap. So that's why they call them soap operas. My conversation with him in context with Citizen Kane about the fallout of the Letterboxd Top 250, he fears cinema hasn't proved its timeliness like art forms thousands of years old as painting. I don't know, but is Letterboxd the best definition of what the best movies are? Because Letterboxd is kind of more like modern centric. Like look at AFI or look at SOS Sight on Sound's top list, and Citizen Kane's not going to be. Look, the fact of the matter, the truth is, let's be completely honest. Like Citizen Kane is a fantastic movie if you're interested in cinema. I don't think you can sit down and watch Citizen Kane today unless you were interested in movies. Like it does feel like it moves a lot more slowly, And it's a different medium or not. Well, I think maybe what your argument was that not early cinema, but like Hollywood era cinema is like a different thing. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Like I think every generation will look back at the movies that came before it as sort of something different and maybe not quite as relatable. Like I would think that movies from like the 30s are totally different than the movies from the 60s. Are different than the movies from the 80s, are different from the movies from the 2000s, or even what's going on today, Yeah, the future of cinema is Neuralink movies, straight to the brain. Maybe I wouldn't call it cinema anymore. I'd call it Neuralink movies, or Neuralink, maybe experiences, like virtual experiences. And I don't preclude that from happening because it could be very well a new art form in the future. Just as radio is a different art form than motion picture, just as motion picture is a different art form than video games. Totally different. So Patrick's clarifying, I meant to say that 60p effect from a TV feel perceptually the same as actual 60p content. Yes. So you're talking about 60i from a TV is perceptually the same thing as 60p. It is. But if you take 24 frames a second and you translate that to 60 interlaced things, you're still maintaining 24 frames, 24 separate images per second. You're not getting 60 uniquely different frames a second. You're still getting 24 uniquely different frames a second. So. Have I watched Severance? I tried watching the first episode, but I was not in the mood that night for it. So maybe I should go back and watch it. The other, I really liked the first couple seasons of Mythic Quest. The third season feels kind of light, I'm just not into it. I'm thinking about Apple TV shows. And I think I talked a lot about For All Mankind I loved. I like Ted Lasso, but I feel like the more distance I get from it, the less I remember it and the less I care about it. Count for Comment says, digital video cameras still can't replicate film cameras' look other than the obvious different ways to capture light. Why? The movie shot in film look 2000s look better than most digital. I don't know about that. Talk to Steve Yedlin. Like he'll talk your ear off about how digital video cameras can replicate the look of film cameras. I mean, there's a lot that can be done to get digital and film to look alike. There's a movie about Citizen Kane making. I think it's RKO 281. I don't think I've seen that. I think I might have seen parts of it. I'm not sure. So you're going about your daily life and bam, a commercial. Neuralink with commercials. You're saying, referencing that. Even non-interactive narrative VR or 360 video isn't really cinema because of the lack of control of the frame, in my opinion. I agree 100% Moon Safari. You can't, like cinema should have a definition, right? Cinema should be kind of limited to a certain, and then, you're gatekeeping, John. I am, sure. Like, would you call a radio play cinema? No, you wouldn't. Would you call a theater experience cinema? No, you wouldn't. So just because it involves a screen doesn't mean it is cinema. There's got to be some definition, some classification in order to be considered cinema, right? So yeah, narrative VR, 360 video, that's not cinema. It just isn't. It's something else. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying it's not as good as cinema. I'm just saying it's something else. It's part of the reason why some people were giving me some gruff about it. Like, I hate that Screen X experience. I was talking about that in my Avatar video. People are like, whoa, I disagree. I really hate the Screen X experience because it eliminates the idea of composition. Like, it's trying to be VR without being VR. Like, so what Screen X is, you have a screen and they get rid of all the speakers on the wall and they just project stuff on the wall to kind of support the stuff in the screen. So you immediately lose the art of composition. Like, it just changes because now we got all this other crap on the screen, and then people are like, well, it's like people thought that they shoot stuff originally for that sidewall stuff. Like, no, they don't. I mean, they might like go back and do a pass on the rendering, the CGI rendering, and render some crap on the sidewalls. But no, they don't have like multiple cameras shooting 3 angles. No, they don't do that. They don't do that. Anyhow. Rewatched Knives Out, so much better than Onion? Probably. I would not say go against that line of thinking. Expect to hear me talking about the same old Hollywood, but she was talking about the 90s. That baffles me. I wonder what 90s films, 90s films are as far away as 70s films were when I was a kid. Wow. Yeah, Cole, VR 360 is sort of changing. When I tell the story again, probably you've heard it, some of you have heard it. When YouTube was running a lot of VR classes, teaching people how to use VR because they're pushing VR at the time, I took the class and I came to the realization that the tools that you would need to tell a story in VR were going to be much closer to video games than they were to actual movies. Because like you said, like the other guys are saying, you lose composition, you lose they call it the what is the term? Droit d'auteur, the pen of the artist. You lose the ability to create the composition. So you have to basically use other ways to bring the attention of your viewer to what you want it to look at. And part of that might be like the way video games do it, the way maybe magicians do it on stage. John, can you speak about the Red owning the patent for compressed RAW? I don't think they own it. I don't think they may own their own version of Red. They have a proprietary patent on maybe their way of doing their RAW, but it's not like Canon has a RAW, like Arri has RAW. They don't all pay Red for it. What makes cinema cinema? Ooh, if we're going to get through that question, I think it has to do. I think we're going to have to limit it to more like a 2-dimensional screen, motion picture, and audio experience vehicle, basically. And I think part of that, I mean, I will go so far as to include the 24 FPS as part of it. I might put it as a syntax like, well, it's presented usually in 24 frames a second, usually, with that word usually being the caveat. I would say that. I'd say it's a 2-dimensional, sometimes 3-dimensional screen-based audio and visual presentation. That's what I would say cinema is. Yeah, I would say Avatar is more as an audio visual experience in the movie. I feel like Cameron might agree with that. You're not wrong. Not wrong. When you said 4DX is identical to ScreenX, I want to reply, but the 4DX is actually motion simulator. Oh, okay, you're right. But there is a 4DX. Okay, maybe I'm confused with that because there's ScreenX, which puts the things on the side, and then I thought 4DX was the things on the side, but now you have 3D. Maybe I'm mistaken on that issue. I'm confused. Yeah, too many freaking X words in there. I had serious issues with the Avatar 2 and the excessive use of the word bro. I had issues with the hissing. And I went on about it because two people were giving me, 3 people were giving me crap. They say, well, don't you understand? It's the Na'vi, man. They can hiss. That's their thing, man. How can you judge another species like that? That's what they do. They hiss and they use the word bro. So you guys realize. And I thought this was an interesting point. I don't think anybody else besides me understands how profound this point is. But the point is, the Na'vi in the Avatar movies are not real. That the aliens in these alien movies are not real. Did you get that? Do people not understand that? It's like they hiss because we told them to hiss. They use the word bro because we told them to use the word bro. These things are scripted by humans. They're not. This is not a documentary where you go to Pandora and just film these things and they start hissing. No, we made them hiss. So therefore, if it's too much hissing, that's our fault. Not because that's what they do, they hiss. No, it's because the artist wants them to hiss. To me, that was like a profound thing. Yeah, what? Unsubscribed. Mind blown. Exactly. But I was arguing with these people saying no, I think their hissing is dumb. And they're like, dude, what's wrong with you? Don't you realize it's an alien species, man. It's an alien species. Don't you understand that they should be able to hiss? That's the thing. It's stupid to think that's bad. No, they're not real. We made them. We decide what they do. So we can control what they do. Paul Patrick says, according to a YouTube documentary, I saw Red owns a patent on every Raw except Black Magic, who has priors. Well, you do have to consider your source. I mean, maybe they. I don't see how. Okay, let's do it. Red. All right, Red owns patent on all Raw. Let's see. Red filed another patent related to compressed Raw. Let's see. Let's read the article here. Red Cinema recently granted 2 weeks ago, titled "Video." So they had it 2 weeks ago. So they just created a patent. All right. This one seems generally tries to circulate among sensors devices. Does Red want to expand raw compression? Okay. All right, let's take a look at this. Definition of compressed raw. The streets go sign. Okay. I don't see any of that. I don't see how any of that's relevant to anything else. I don't quite understand what they don't. How do they own all patents for all raw? It doesn't seem to make any sense. Let's see. DIY Photography says Red has granted a new patent covering compressed raw in all video cable devices. That doesn't. I think there's something seriously missing in all these articles. That to me, just on the surface, just seems stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all. But let's see here. So I'm open to seeing what the concept is, but I don't trust any of these. Basically, I've got that Gell-Man effect. I don't believe any article because I don't think anyone understands what they're really talking about. So pretty much any device that's potentially capable of capturing compressed raw video, including smartphones that don't already own or use this, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't actually make any sense whatsoever. So, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I think all these articles are written by people that have no idea what they're talking about. Sorry. Anyhow. Yeah. Judging the Na'vi is racist, bro. Yeah, bro. What do you have against blue people, man? Anyhow. Creating a fictional race and then having a meltdown over their customs, very meta woke. It's pretty much true. This is the source. Yeah, the thing is, Patrick, you got to realize, like, you ever heard of the Gell-Mann amnesia effect? It's like when a physicist who's really well known, really understands physics really well, opens a newspaper and he reads an article and it's about physics, and he says, man, this thing is just completely wrong, dude. Like, they don't get anything right about physics. And he turns the page and reads a story about, like, the Ukraine crisis, right? And he's like, oh man, look what's happening in Ukraine. And he completely forgets the fact that the reporter who reported on his topic of expertise, which was physics, and he goes into another topic which doesn't have any expertise. He just forgets the fact that reporters don't have any idea what they're talking about. Yeah, Gell-Mann was Michael Crichton. Yeah, he came up with it. But, like, to me, like DIY photography, how can you get a patent for something that you didn't even create? How can you claim ownership on, like, Canon RAW, right? I say they own the idea of just taking code off the sensor. Like, if you develop the whole thing, like, there's no patent on that. Doesn't make any sense. Let's see. And they post this, like, little patent cover, and it doesn't even say anything. Let's see. Okay, so here I'm going to read the abstract. In some embodiments, an electronic device for compressing video image data, including housing, an image sensor, and memory device, and one more processes. Let's read the whole thing. Why not? Let's have some fun. The image sensor can generate data from a light incident. Let me see if I can put this on screen for you guys. All right. Oh, lovely that we're going to go into. There we go. All right, so let's read this little article. Electronic device, okay. The more processes can transform the image data, blah, 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 blah. One more process can encode the quantization and the coefficients, blah, 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 which can one transform. Okay. So start, generate video image data, pre-emphasize generate video, and then end. Okay. So here's all the patent documents, which don't mean anything to me. Other publications. Okay. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. References, okay. Wait, so the patent is on looks like a phone. So they're showing a phone. They're showing the red camera. Okay. Okay. So some graphs about the work processes, 15-bit to 12-bit pre-emphasis function. Okay. They're showing all that. I don't understand where we're going here. This though. I think the argument could be like, hey, we developed our own system, which is going to be slightly different than this. This is another patent. I don't see where they're saying that they're going to be applying it to everything else. Trying to find something that cross references to related application broadcasts. Brief description of the drawings. Okay. I'm open, but I'm not going to. I mean, I'm going through all this here and trying to find something that's. Flow charts, compression systems. I'm not seeing it though. I'm just not seeing. I'm seeing a lot of very specific things. I don't see like, oh, we own everything that everyone else makes. Could be wrong. I guess I'm gonna leave that open. I'll leave that door open. Let's see here. Can't tell if Avatar 2 is actually good or if it's just a great experience, much like the first. There's no need to separate the two. It's a good experience. I mean, it wasn't a great experience for me. when I first watched it in HFR. The switching gave me a headache, so it wasn't good for me. The movie, I can separate it. It's fine. It's not bad. It's not the worst. It's a lot better than a lot of even the Marvel stuff. Like the Marvel stuff has a lot of big plot holes, and at least Avatar 2 feels like it has a little more thought and care put into it. But you can separate the two. From what I understand, they hold copyright to video compressed RAW over 2K. Well, how do you compress it, though? That's the question. And it's not a copyright, because copyright is different. It's a patent. Patents only last like 7, 8 years, or 12 years, or whatever it is. But it's like, how do you compress the RAW? There's certain ways you can do it, and if you apply certain proprietary ways of doing it. So that's the question. Do you use cloud service on Premiere? Yes, I do. I mean, I don't actually save stuff to the cloud unless I'm going to bounce it around computers a lot. Yeah. Patents are defined by lawyers. Lawyers are attack librarians, pretty much. Lawyers make, I'm sure Shakespeare also hated lawyers too. My mistake is on compressed RAW only. The question is what kind of compressed? Because there's different ways of compressing things. That's the thing. There's Canon RAW Lite, which is their own version of RAW. Doesn't mean it works the same way as Red RAW Lite. And then Blackmagic's RAW is even different than that. So everyone has their own flavor of how they do it. Now, does Red control the patent on their own compression? Absolutely, they do. Absolutely. Does that mean they own every single compressed RAW? I don't think so. Depends on how they define it. Yeah, Red has successfully sued a few companies to prevent them from using compressed RAW. DJI Newcam had to remove the ProRes RAW because Red was sued. That might be an issue with the way that ProRes integrated the RAW. So the question is maybe does DJI need to develop their own compressed RAW format? Then you have DJI RAW, or will somebody license it to them? I don't know. There's always technicalities, as someone was saying here. The devil's always in the details. That's why all these articles are so wrong, because they don't understand the details. They sell you the headline. All right. Red has sued Nikon for illegally copying its data compression technology. Well, that's a point. Fair point. While Nikon admits it was aware of the multiple lawsuits that Red had filed in the past, it argues that claims that Red brought forward was invalid. Then Red cites multiple lawsuits it's filed against Kinefinity, Sony, and Nokia over the years. Red is seeking damages and royalties for infringement, as well as an injunction to ban Nikon. I don't know. It sounds like Red seems to be the bad guy here. ScreenX is appalling, bro. I love it. Agree with you 100%. Is cinema dead? No, I don't think so. I don't think cinema's dead at all. I think there are if you go to watch if you go seeking cinema in Marvel movies and that's all you do, then yes, you will think that cinema is dead. But I think cinema is quite alive. I just don't think it may not be in the public eye though, as well as it should be. And I'm not excited about this year's Oscars. I don't think there's a damn movie. I mean, I just hope Everything Everywhere All at Once gets everything, and that's it. We're all done. Oh, man. Think about all the Nolan movies that fans give 10 to 10 to every movie he makes. I believe in timeless of cinema, but that's a lot of films from the past that will endure. I know, sure. Yeah, I agree with you, Matthews. Yeah, Paul Manning says if they're patenting their thing, sure. By definition, it cannot be the same or similar to anyone else. They seem to be making some very lofty claims. That's what I'm imagining what's going on here is they're probably seeing a lot of things that they think are similar, but they're not exactly the same. And then, you know what? When it comes to lawsuits over intellectual property, that's the minutiae is when it matters. All the minutiae matters. I love this. Damn, you look like a painting. Thank you. Just get a Red, and you're all good. Like all of us boss shooters on Red make quality cinema. I agree, totally, 100%. Favorite episode? I don't want to do. I just don't want to watch Last of Us. I'll tell you why. Because I'm tired of zombie movies. When I was commenting on MySpace, when MySpace was still a thing, my most popular thread on the MySpace film forum, which is like the highest, like most replied thread of all time on MySpace, was, "For God's sakes, can we stop it with the zombie movies?" And this was in 2006. This is really, really, really old. I can't believe John tricked me into watching Candy. That movie's awesome. Candy is awesome. That's not a trick. You can thank me. Thank me for making me watch Candy. That movie is so awesome. Anyhow, so Last of Us to me is just zombie movie, and I feel like the beats of Last of Us are going to be exactly the same as every other zombie movie. It's the same. I felt the same way about Walking Dead. And again, Walking Dead was based on a comic book from the 80s. So, sure, like in the 70s, 80s, like it feels like nothing's really changed in the zombie genre. It's the same story beats over and over again. You know, like they always have to make this unimaginable decision between who lives and who dies. You're going to get that. You know, somebody's going to get bitten and they don't want to tell anybody else. You're going to get that. So it just, I don't know. I'm not trying to dog on The Last of Us. I'm glad it's a good. A lot of people are saying it's a good show. Bro, you need to go vegan. Oh no, boy, no, my friend. I did not gonna. Vegan is how I'm gonna die. Vegan is just like the worst diet you could possibly do is go vegan. Anyhow, watch Decision to Leave if you think cinema is dead. There you go. What do you think of IMAX developing 4 new 1570 cameras to cater toward narrative cinema to make the process more accessible? Hoping to get a tour of the HQ soon for a video. Oh, that'd be cool. What's 1570 cameras? I don't even know what that is. 70 millimeter and 15 millimeter cameras? I mean, the more they make technology accessible, the better, right? Cinema is clinically dead, says Petrosexual. A good film is an accident. I mean, that's been true since the freaking early days. The crap has always been more numerous than the good stuff. Disney can be great again if they make me chairman. I agree. I think we should make Junebug Films chairman. All in favor. The only movie I like is Shaun of the Dead, which kind of makes fun of the zombie, Oh, 15 perf, thank you. Well, you know, the more they make 15 perf 70 millimeter, well, if they can bring back 70 millimeter film, it's just so. I mean, look, I am definitely not in that market to be making 15 perf 70 millimeter film. Yeah, cinema isn't dead, but the movie theater experience is in critical condition. It can be. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's. I agree with that. Sometimes I don't. I agree with that when they bring a 7-year-old kid to a 3-hour Avatar movie. I kind of agree with that. Kind of agree. You're not wrong. And then the fact that I can watch a movie at home and have really, really my TV I bought is really, really good. Not gonna lie. It's really good. So I get it. Oh man, give it a chance. Like a post-apocalypse road journey that happens to be the mushroom zombies. Yeah, but like every zombie movie is a post-apocalypse road journey. It's like, they're all the same beats. I'm not saying it's a bad show. Don't get me wrong, and enjoy it. Go have fun watching it. Enjoy it. It's just I'm kind of tired of it. John tricked me into watching, and I was one of the few that did not love Everything Everywhere All at Once. No, that's a shame. I'm not going to argue with you to say that you should love it, but you're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's totally fine to be wrong about movies. Apparently, red is the patent troll of the imaging industry. That seems to be the case, I guess. What about Where the Crawdads Sing as an Oscar nomination? I've never seen that movie. I wish I could get a 32-inch 4K monitor the same style of the screen as a 3DS on my computer. It supports 3D without glasses, so I can watch Avatar 2 when it has a Blu-ray release. Yeah, I know. I love it when people tell me that 3D is on its way back. 3D is stronger than ever, guys. 3D is you know, we're finally at the point where 3D movies are it now, and then you can't even go buy a 4K 3D monitor. You can't find a 3D TV set anymore. Yeah, 3D is really making its way back, guys. You can shoot 70mm film. I thought it was just prints copied from 65mm film stock. That's a question beyond my understanding of large format filming. There you go. I want to see a movie that gives me the feeling when I first saw Speed or Terminator 2. For me, that experience, well, I mean, I never saw Speed in the theater and I never saw Terminator 2 in the theater. For me, the feeling was Mad Max Fury Road. Like, that theater experience was amazing. And I saw that movie like 5 times in the theater. I loved that movie. All right. Craig Mazin's dialogue is predictable. I like Craig, but I can hear it. I understand that feeling. Hey, I applied multiple times for the past couple of weeks to been called and been calling Disney to wanting to speak to Bob Iger so I can get a little blind determination. I agree. I think Bob Iger is really making a mistake here. Junebug Films, come on, Bob. Next time I see you at my barbecue at my house, I'm gonna tell him, dude, seriously, Junebug Films, CEO at least of the parks. You give him that much, you can turn that thing around like that. I swear to God. I'm getting tired, guys, but we'll go for a little bit. 3 hour, 13 minute for Avatar 2 was awesome. I hope Blu-ray extended, like one release was extended 3 hours. Puts back that gun footage you took out because he took out all the gun footage. Eric says it's an okay-ish movie, a brilliant tech demo. Smartphone light pollution and lack of enforcement has destroyed the theater going experience. Kind of, yeah. That's really annoying. Yellowstone 1923's brand of Western are kind of refreshing, in my opinion. They kind of disconstructed some aspects of Western and bringing back a new one. So that's kind of cool. What is Yellowstone on Paramount? I think Paramount's the only streaming service I don't have, except for Hulu. I don't have Hulu either. Yeah, why don't they bring back the Mr. Winky sings? Why don't they bring back the intermission? You need to break that, Avatar 2, because I did have to go to the bathroom pretty bad by the end of Avatar 2. Like, that was pretty rough. That went pretty bad during that piece of garbage Babylon, too. I know half the people in here probably love Babylon, but I hated that movie. If we compete cheap out on the light output 3D movie Cineplex, yeah. I haven't seen Crawdads. I guess you guys should go check that out. I thought that movie came out a long time ago. I have to watch the Mad Max Fury Road in chunks or I get overstimulated by it. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about the original. That's why watching it in the movie theater was so like invigorating. It was a visceral experience. I'm personally against the whole idea of the black and white versus color. I'll give you another example of what happened. I watched the movie. Midnight Alley? No. What's the name of that movie? It's a Guillermo del Toro movie from last year. Midnight Alley or something like that? What's the name of that movie? Chat will tell me right away. But anyhow, I watched it and I saw it in black and white. And I thought, that's kind of cool, black and white movie. And then I realized it was originally in color. I saw the black and white re-release of it. And I saw the color version. I thought, oh, this was a color version. I don't know if I liked the black and white. The black and white worked for some things and not for others. And the color version worked way better in other things and not for black and white. So it just made me think like, maybe they need to find like pick a lane. Like I hate it when photographers show you like 2 photos. Here's a color version and here's a black and white version. Well, one is obviously superior than the other. There's a choice to be made. Like you have to pick one. You can't just show both. Like that always bothers me when photographers like in their portfolio show you the black and white version and the color version. No, pick one. Pick a lane. Anyhow, What about the Lighthouse movie? What about it? I pick a lane. Either go black and white or go color. Don't Nightmare Alley. Thank you, Hugh. Nightmare Alley. Yeah, I saw that in black and white first, and then I did without even knowing it was in color. I saw it first in black and white, and then only later I realized it was in color. And I thought some parts worked better in black and white, some in color. Exactly. That dude points out a good point. The whole exposure is different between color and black and white. That's why you have to pick a lane. Because you have to decide, am I going to go color or am I going to go black and white? Now, you can take color, you can make it black and white. You can digitally manipulate to make it look a little bit cooler in black and white. You manipulate the colors in certain ways. But, yeah. Oh, there you go. Did I know Sleeping Beauty was the only Disney animated film in history to be shot on 70mm film? The animators had to draw on truly gigantic cells, are very cumbersome to handle. Yeah, I think I did know that, actually. I think I did remember hearing that was 70mm. It wasn't on top of mind. If you asked me, I probably would not have been able to told you, but I do remember those were big plates on that. All right. Yeah, Last of Us is the new Walking Dead. Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. what I expected. I remember seeing Titanic in 70mm in London, had an intermission. That's cool. There you go. Yeah. And The Lighthouse was supposed to simulate early filmmaking tropes. Totally understand. Tarantino made black and white and color work in Kill Bill. I think the story behind that too was he put it in black and white because all that red would have made it even more like R-rated. It might have pushed it over the top. So that was kind of a reason why they went to black and white. That's what I was told. That's what the marketing machine said back when that Kill Bill first came out. It was like the MPAA would have given like an NC-17 if they would have left it in color. It would have been all red and all over and nasty. And that's why they made it black and white. Yeah. LOU looks better than WD. I hate the WD comic series as well. Walking Dead, Last of Us. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that Kill Bill scene. So remember, when you go to black and white in digital, at least you have ways to adjust. So you can push the red more toward black, or you can push it more toward gray. So if you have a lot of red, you can just take the red and just make, that's the cool thing about shooting color for black and white is you can shoot a color image. You can manipulate the hell out of it by applying all different kinds of filters digitally that you would do if you shot black and white film. Another black and white film that's really good is Frances Ha, my girl Greta Gerwig there. Frances Ha is a gorgeous black and white film. That's from the late 2000s, late 2009 or something like that. I don't remember. Yeah, that's weird. So Disney hasn't released a 4K version of Cinderella yet. Maybe it's in the Disney vaults. Disney's killing cinema? Yeah, maybe. I was more agnostic about Disney before, but now I'm kind of feeling like they're just pumping out stuff, and it's just not good. It's funny when you realize most of what you see in the new Titanic is interpolation. Is there a new version of Titanic where they up the frame rate on it? Like, people need to get over the idea that frame rate interpolation is something different than just shooting high frame rate. It's kind of similar. It's similar enough. Let's see. The Polar Express is the only semi-watchable movie in 3D. In 2D, it's a nightmare. I would agree with the second part of that statement. I don't know how 3D would make it better. Is digital IMAX just like Max, like 2K Christie projectors, kind of? Depends on what IMAX version. There's like single laser, dual laser, and all that crap. Anyhow. Yeah, you have a 150-foot home theater. Nice. Yeah, I don't have that. You could really notice the difference in red color from different releases versions of the movie Dead Alive. All right. There you go. All right. Noah Baumbach. I love me some Noah Baumbach and love me some Greta Gerwig. No, anyhow. Ari Kill Bill, those black and white scenes would have been shot and lit for black and white versus color. What doesn't work? What doesn't work in shooting light and totally in color and changing it in post? What doesn't work is shooting and lighting it totally in color and changing it in post. You're probably right, although I would say there is a lot of leeway in shooting color and going to black and white. Like there is a lot. There, especially because you can apply a lot of color filters. Now I agree with you though, the actual lighting of the scenes isn't you can't change that, right? You can't you can't create the different. Well, you can. That's the thing. You can do a lot with contrast you can digitally manipulate. Now I don't know if Kill Bill digitally manipulated it, but I think there's a lot you can do with digital to alter the look. Like it's not simply just taking the desaturation and slider and just go to 0. That's not how you desaturate color. That's not how you create black and white from color. You can weight certain tones and create a lot of effect. Anyhow, I'm getting tired. How do they deal with depth of field in 3D? Doesn't shallow depth of field? Yes, it does. So basically the 3D effect is gone when you have shallow depth of field. So you don't use it for very much, or you don't use shallow depth of field very much. You use it. You want those deep focus shots. I didn't know they update frame rate on Titanic, but I watched it again after Avatar. I noticed they cut parts of the ending, throwing the diamond. They cut it. Did they pull a? They pulled a what you call it, a Han shot first there. Oh man. Lots of recent movies have 70mm release prints. They play at select theaters. I've never been to one yet. And me neither. Random question: what is your TV and what BFI settings do you use? Also, how is it going to work for your next? How is the work going on your next videos? Do you already know for sure what the theme of the next video upload will be? My TV is the Sony. I believe it's Sony AJ. Is it AJ90? I think is the one I have. Yeah, the Bravia AJ90. I believe I bought the 70-inch. I didn't go for the 83 because that's too expensive. But I went to the 70 because the 65 is a little too small, I thought. So it's the A90J, I believe, is what I bought. And then the BFI, it has 3 BFI settings. And I generally like to go with the first setting. And I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like the least amount of BFI. Although the other night I was watching, I think I was telling you I was watching the Addams Family Values, or Addams Family 2 animated movie. I think I put it on the full 60 hertz BFI, and I thought it looked great, but I was feeling either I was getting a little bit of an eye strain. I don't know if that was because of the BFI or was it because I was just having an eye strainy day. I couldn't tell. But I generally like the first setting, which I believe is like the least amount of BFI. But I believe it doesn't flash. It scans. So like if I took my phone and you shoot a high frame rate video of the TV, it will scan like an old CRT TV. So it'll roll. The image rolls through it. What else was it? The question. Oh, the next video I thought I was going to do on the frame rate of the human eye. I have the script mostly written. Problem with it right now is I just don't have the energy and time to do stuff on it. I'll try to work on it, but it's just so tough. Rocket Boy, did they replace the guns and walkie-talkies in the latest version of Titanic? That's what it is. That's what it is. All right. Practical Imagination. Lots as in 5, because that's all the theaters that probably have 70mm projectors. All right. Everyone's seeing Rose stand on the edge of the ship. Rose letting the guy to hold the diamond before throwing it away, and the guy shouting at her for throwing it away. You know, the funny meme I saw about the Titanic thing was, Rose went off and got married and had kids, and had a life after Jack, right? But when she dies and goes to heaven, she forgets all of them and she just goes back to the one dude that she just had an affair with over the course of a couple days. Like, come on. When was the last time you had you saw a film with made your heart beat and your mind blown? Cinema really is in the doldrums. White Noise made my mind blow a little bit. White Noise. Double Down did make did cause me to laugh quite a bit. Yeah, White Noise made my mind blown a little bit. Everything Everywhere All at Once got me all of it. I was totally sold on that movie. Yule Log blew my mind. Yule Log blew my mind. Totally. So there are films out there. There are that do blow me. Is cinema really in doldrums? Yeah, I think corporatized mass appeal cinema is in the doldrums for sure. Let's see. Last tense movie scene was Sicario. Yeah, the border scene overall. Yeah, 1917. Another good example. There's some movies, and then TV shows too. So like I don't necessarily separate cinema from TV shows, although they probably should be. Like cinema would be more like a condensed story inside of like one movie self-contained storyline, whereas streaming shows can be a little more broader. Like White Lotus I was blown away by White Lotus. Anyhow, I'm just name dropping movies. All right, I think I've been on for like 2 hours now, so I better cut it short here. Mr. Winky, the scene you're describing, the lead scene that popped up on YouTube, the theatrical cut, she's always alone when she throws the diamond over. Yep, CGI can never be as good in video games. Absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, Matthew says a huge part of the desire of minority gamers for HFR movies is wanting to see the video game cutscene with Hollywood level CGI would look like, and that's what Avatar 2 delivered. I when I watched Avatar 2, I thought, this is it. This is what they're gonna. This is what they want. They want a video game cutscene with Hollywood level CGI, and they got that. The White Lotus season 2 was better. I think they had a better ending. I think season 2 the ending was way better. I was just like cheering at the ending of season 2. I was like, oh my god, that's good. But there's parts of season 1 that I like better than I like with season 2. Like I'm sorry, Alexandria Daddario, I liked her. I liked her a lot more in season 1. You know, I liked her character. I liked everything they developed with her more in season 1. Season 2 has its own charms. They're all good shows. I like them all. All right, let's see. Watch Laser Blast. That's my non-OT movie. Okay. Laser Blast. I'm going to look that up right now. Google search Laser Blast. 1978. There you go. 2.8 out of 10 on IMDb. Well, it doesn't mean, maybe people just don't get it. You know, like I love the movie Candy. Laser Blast. So check it out. All right. Let's see. But gamers want 120 FPS, not just 48 FPS. Yeah. You might as well watch the Mystery Science 3000 movie version of Laser Blast. Like, not another teen movie doesn't need MS3K, MST3K, you know? All right, guys, it's 4:30. I'm going to go and I need to do a couple things here in my office before I go home. I'm probably going to try to go to the grocery store real quick. Not spend money. Try to keep it down. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with me on this Sunday. Again, so we'll try to keep doing these things every week. And, yeah. Have a good time, guys. All right. Don't go hungry. Well, try not to. trying to get too sad and too. I appreciate go on stream. It always makes me feel a little more cheerier and chipper. Came in here really feeling down, but now I feel a little better. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. So we shall see you later. Fade to black.